Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the I Am Team series and the Daily Influence. Today we're talking about action and inaction, and this is actually a title of one of the chapters in Positive Influence, and I chose it as a title because it's really important to realize that when we choose not to act upon something, we are still actively choosing. We're taking an action. It's an action to be inactive. And it's the same as just like not making a decision is still a decision. And we don't think in these terms in the chaos of life. As we move through every day of our areas of influence and we move through our lives and we interact with ourselves and with different people, we hide behind some of these terms. And we like to think that they protect us from accountability or they protect us from the consequences of things, but they don't. The decisions we make to be take action or not take action can still have consequences. If we choose not to help somebody open a door when we see they're struggling and then something bad happens to them because they can't open that door. Maybe it knocks all the boxes out of their hand or the door hits them in the head, but we could have done that. We're somewhat responsible. Now, I'm not saying that you have an obligation to hold the door for everybody you see. I'm just saying that you had a decision, you made a decision from a choice to help or not to help. And the consequences, while they didn't affect you, affected somebody else. And you probably didn't slow down and think about what it might or might not do to help them. It's like driving down the road and you let somebody in front of you. You make that choice. You decide to slow down a little bit so they can get their car in front of you. Sometimes those people wave, sometimes they don't. But the decision, the action of slowing down got a positive result. Think then about maybe if you were to speed up or if somebody speeds up and doesn't let you in, how that makes you feel. I get frustrated sometimes when it's obvious that there's a place for my car in a line of cars and somebody visibly speeds up to get in the way so I can't get over. It seems like a human thing, by the way. I don't know if you've ever noticed. You're driving down the road, you put your turn signal on, everybody's going the same speed. But the moment you put your turn signal on to move left or right, if there's a car over there that you could have got in front of, they seemingly speed up. I'm not sure what it is that drives us to do that, but oftentimes it's very frustrating. These are the consequences of our decisions. These are the consequences of action. And while minute, it's really important. And the foundation of our discussion is that our action or inaction, our ability to make decisions from our choices, has influence. And we should be mindful of that influence. We should think about what that means in the grander scheme. Because if it's so consequential in our lives in these seemingly unimportant areas, really, at the end of the day, imagine what our action or inaction, what our decisions do in our real areas of influence, in our homes, at our work, with our friends. And I'm sure if you think back to opportunities you've had to look at different choices to do things with your family, with your friends, or at work, and you chose not to do something, or you decided to do something that maybe you didn't feel good about, then you can start to get a sense of what the consequences can be, what the influences might be in the context of action and inaction. One action that we should be working on for us as humans is increasing our willpower. So, our willpower, as we've talked about in the past, is our ability to stay true to things, to stay the road, if you will, even when things get tough, to be able to stay on that rough road and keep us moving in the right direction. Oftentimes, we make decisions from our choices because our willpower is waning. We don't have enough. So, we make decisions that seemingly are easier and appear to be less consequential or the best for us, but oftentimes those decisions aren't. Those decisions are the ones we shouldn't have made. The path to right, the path to what's best for us, isn't always the easiest path. What's best for us might be the most difficult road. The high road can oftentimes be the most difficult road. So, working on your willpower and building your willpower and then sharing that. When we have a lot of willpower and staying power, and we make decisions that clearly show patience, clearly show us slowing down, clearly show us being thoughtful, other people see that. There's a positive influence from our conscious, willful action that has a positive influence on those around us. It sets good examples. We make better choices. Those better choices have influence and set better examples. Some of the takeaways from action and inaction is when you decide not to act, you are still actively choosing something. So not making a decision is a decision. There's no true inaction because you are still deciding not to act. So inaction is still a choice. It is still action. Choosing the route of inaction can often make action for others more difficult. So if we choose not to do something, we might be paving the way for difficulty for others, especially if we know if I do something, it will help others, and we choose not to do that. We decide not to do that. Most action breeds responsibility. When you decide to take action that affects several other individuals and not just yourself. Generally, you have to remember that your influence is the single greatest responsibility you have. So your action and or your inaction has influence, and you have a responsibility to wield that in the most responsible way you can, and whatever that means to you, because responsible influence is something that you have to understand. I can't really define that, neither can anybody else, not in your areas of influence. And when you feel the effects of stress or burnout, consider how you might rebuild that willpower, make you feel better so that as you struggle with decision, as you struggle with the choices in front of you, as you challenge yourself with which action to take, you can have more willpower. Do the things that you need to do to be your best self, to put yourself in the best mindset so that the actions you take, the decisions you make, the choices in front of you are the best that they can be. Tomorrow, we're going to do a reflection on change and improvement. And then we'll be moving on to self-education and how we are constantly learning. And this thing called life is just a path of education for us all every day. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you again tomorrow.